WWL-TV's Eyewitness News begins with breaking news.
Well, tonight we know much more about the failed effort to recall Mayor Cantrell.
And for the first time, we're seeing the petitions themselves, which are full of duplicates, incorrect dates, and even a handful of Disney characters, if you can believe it. Alyssa Curtis is starting our team coverage tonight. She was at City Hall and she was able to actually go through those documents. Alyssa?
That's right, guys. I have just a sample of those petition signature pages here. This page is just full of cartoon characters, and some of these other pages don't even have signatures on them. They're calling the recall a disgrace and other profanities. This is just a portion of why the Registrar of Voters says that recall effort failed.
Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Princess Tiana, Cinderella, Shrek, Goofy D, Doc, Dwarf, Bashville, Happy Dwarf, Sleeping Beauty, Donald Duck, Princess Charming, Fred Flintstone, Scooby-Doo, and Barney Rubble.
At least one page of cartoon characters were turned into the Registrar of Voters from the recall organizers. But this is just a small portion of signatures that were deemed invalid. Of the about 67,000 signatures that were submitted by organizers, the Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters says less than half were valid. In fact, Danielle Duplessis Hammond, Chief Deputy Registrar, says a massive chunk of them were just photocopies of the same pages.
So when you look at the number, you look at 67,000. That's why the number was so high, because it was a duplicate of the first batch.
The deadline to turn in signatures for the recall was February 22nd, but there is a 5-day period after that when anyone can come by and have their name added or removed. The registrar's office says the second batch turned in during the 5-day grace period was almost a complete duplicate of the first batch.
90%.
They say they weren't even obligated to go through that second batch because it wasn't submitted on time. They did it as a courtesy. According to Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters, the recall organizers made mistakes from the very beginning, like missing important forms. They say it took 30 to 40 officials hours on end to get through all of the signatures.
I think that we had more responsibilities to the public other than doing this. And it was disappointing, not saying that we're taking a side because we're impartial, but when you have spent this many hours doing this work and the work is not even up to par, yes, it's a little, it takes you aback.
They also have a responsibility to the public to be transparent. They say they were, but still denied me the opportunity to inspect the records before Thursday, despite state law.
We were dealing with a live process. To give you a third of those numbers would have tainted the process and it would have prevented us from meeting our deadline. So we really could not stop that process.
Now, the Registrar of Voters says they used a statewide computer system that holds voter registration information to compare these signatures and these recall pages. They also say they went through all the documents twice. Now, the recall organizers have responded to some of those allegations. They spoke with media today. My colleague Whitney Miller joins us now. Whitney, what did they have to say?
Well, Eileen Carter says the math is not mathing. She says she listened to that press conference earlier today, and she says she's now more confused than ever before. She also addressed the signature pages with those Disney character names on them, saying they must have slipped in during the last minute rush to get signatures turned in. She told us in total they have roughly 100,000 signatures, and she says there was a reason for the duplicates the registrar says they received.
The second batch was partially a full copy of everything that we had. Why? Because we didn't trust that she wasn't going to lose something. We wanted to make sure that we had a fail-safe for us. And we put extras in every box to make sure that they were open. So yes, there were new hundreds of them from the residents that had mailed them, dropped them off at pop-ups and all of that weekend. And it was a rush drop-off because they were shutting the office down on Monday again earlier than they were supposed to.
And we asked Eileen Carter about those 100,000 plus signatures. If she said she has proof. If she would turn that proof over, she said she's in the middle of a legal battle at the moment, and she will turn those over once she is clear of that. For now, live in New Orleans, Whitney Miller, Eyewitness News.
Whitney, Alyssa, thank you so much for your coverage here. We will continue to cover as we look to answer a new set of questions after today's revelations. Look for updates on our website, our free smartphone app, as well as our social media pages.